Hey y'all, it's Katie and welcome back to my channel. Last month, Deca released some pretty big updates to the zone movement standards. So today we're gonna take a look at what those look like and how you can rock your next Deca race. So last year I released a whole series of videos on Deca movement standards and strategy for each zone. But just a few months later, Deca changed the rules up a little bit. So this is going to be the update. So if you've already watched those videos, fantastic. This is just what you need to know now moving forward in 2024. With this rulebook update, we have 3 zones that are primarily affected by these changes. We have the ram reverse lunges, we have the tank push-pull, and the ram burpees. So let's dive right in and look at zone 1, the ram reverse lunge. So in the previous rules, you had 3 ways to rack the ram: front, shoulder, and back rack. But with this new update, they've eliminated the front rack, making that illegal. So if that's your preferred rack on the lunges, you might want to try that shoulder or back rack instead. And the biggest changes with the lunges is that we have a new horizontal rep line. The line can be on the ground in front of the mat or across the mat itself. That's up to you in your gym. But the main important thing is that both feet start in front of the rep line and have to return there simultaneously between every single rep, keeping you honest, making sure that both the feet hit the ground at the same time in the same spot between every rep, which I'm really looking forward to because this is gonna keep us more honest, especially with those jumping lunges that we see a lot of times when you're trying to go a little faster and your feet skip a little bit by accident. So this will keep us honest in making sure both feet hit that rep line at the same time. And the last rule for zone 1 is that you must nicely set the ram down for that last rep to be counted. If you don't nicely set the ram down where it started, if you just drop it and run away, then that last rep won't count. You'll have to come back, redo the rep, and then nicely place the ram down to move on to zone 2. So no throwing, no bailing, and no dropping the ram. It's definitely worth taking the extra second or 2 to nicely settle the ram before moving on. And sometimes you'll encounter these little tape boxes, vertical or horizontal, doesn't matter. This is where the ram's starting place is, and that's where you're gonna return it when you're done. And moving right along, the next zone we see the most updates with is zone 9, the tank push-pull. And our first update here has to specifically do with the Zybex XT3 Plus sled. So here we specifically changed the resistance level for females and males 65 and older. And that resistance level is now level 7. So if you've been practicing on 6, make sure you bump it up a notch before your next race. And one of my favorite updates they added to the tank was a simple definition. Before, it said the back of the tank must pass the line before you reverse directions. Now they've defined the back of the tank as the pole strap connection point. So wherever those handles carabiner onto the tank, that is the point that needs to pass the line before you can reverse direction on your push or pull. I know it's a small detail, but I'm all about those details and I want to know exactly what the letter of the law is, so that's a really good thing to know if you're like me. And the final update on the tank has to do with Deca teams. So near the end of 2023, we saw this really cool strategy emerging on the tank with Deca teams specifically, and this is where teammate A would push the tank down, teammate B would follow along the tank, holding the handles, so that when teammate A finished the push, teammate B would take over immediately and start pulling the tank back. And that was a really cool strategy, especially at Worlds. That's how Kevin Gregory and several of the other elites were able to pull out those amazing, stunning finishes that we saw this year in Deca teams. So it made some super exciting races. But with the new rules, unfortunately, that A-B strategy is now illegal. So now with zone 6, the farmer carry, and zone 9, the tank, teammates are only allowed to swap equipment at the starting line. So we're not allowed to have both team members down the line at the same time because it just makes a cramped competition field, especially when you have multiple people stacked up in a row. It can really clog up the tank lanes and the farmer carry lanes pretty quickly. So now each teammate will have to complete at least 1 push and 1 pull before swapping out. And we're down to our last big update here. That's on zone 10, the ram burpee. So walking through our movement standard here, just like normal, we're gonna start down into the push-up. This time, instead of just the chest hitting the roller, you could also bring the abdomen to the roller if you wanted to. And they've made the push-up just a little stricter. So instead of you being able to pike the hips back into this tabletop position, that's now illegal. Your hips must be in full extension, so if you're on the knees, make sure from knee to shoulder, you're in a straight line throughout that plank. So while I know by zone 10 you're gonna be exhausted, make sure those hips are extended in the push-up. And the biggest change here happens at the top of the rep. So once you rip the ram overhead, here now we have to extend hips and elbows fully, completing a full overhead press, reaching your full height here. We're not just looking for a little daylight between the ram and your head anymore. I think this is going to be a really great rule change because it's going to keep a lot more people honest and reaching that full height throughout the rep and making sure that they're not bending over or cheating the rep in any way. And just like the ram lunges here, you must nicely set the ram down in the starting spot or box to make that last rep count. Nobody wants to have to redo a burpee, so don't do it. No punting, no flipping, and no bowling the ram.
No rams were seriously harmed in the making of this video.
The lesson here is just be nice to the rams. And as of right now, those are the official Deca movement standards, but as always, make sure you check back with your local affiliate for any recent updates or changes, and you can always stay tuned to the actual rulebook as well online. I've linked that down in my comments below, so make sure to check that out. And that's all I have for you guys today. Let me know how your training is going down in the comments below, and I wish you guys the best of luck this season on your Deca events. Now I'm gonna give these little moves a try, and we'll see how this goes. Stay healthy. Bye.